It being 5 o'clock on, what's today? Wednesday, February 28th, 2024. I'm calling the Sampson Fund Trustee meeting to order. And because I'm remote, sorry about that, Ken. We'll do the roll call vote. Kim Emberg, aye.
Kevin Wiley, aye.
Okay. And just to introduce what we're doing, in our last meeting, we had some questions on some of the requests. We also have more requests than we have funds this year, which we haven't had in a few years. So is there anything else you want to add to that, Ken?
I have not gotten any word from Carol about non-expended funds.
Okay.
I do believe there is some. I did get an email earlier this month, maybe the end of last month, about some town meeting things that cleaned up. But I know for one, there is money that hasn't been expended, but they can't spend it yet because it doesn't fall within, they can't get a receipt for what they're spending. That's for the Kingston 300 project.
Okay.
So what that is basically is they're taking chunks of money at a time, only to use it when they get enough to publish or whatever they're going to do. So that might be an out for us there, is if we take back the money that they got last year and then tell them, when you're ready to get the money, come to us the year before you're going to publish, because it's just going to keep sitting encumbered. It doesn't make sense to just
Okay.
encumbered without spending it, and we could have other projects move forward that can do it.
And just as a reminder, we had, what did you say, 51,000 and
Yeah,
change?
51 and some change. Yeah, I have it
And
here.
the total requests were, what was it again?
Here we go. I'll get it here. Okay. Total requests are 59,706, and the available expended is 51,887.
Okay.
Which means variance of 78,818. Now, facilities has withdrawn their 1,500, so we can add that 1,500, which would be 93,81878.
And did they withdraw because they had other funding, or they
Right, minus that, not to add it. My bad. I'm sorry.
did they find other funding, or they're just
in a conversation I had with Rob, yeah, they found other funding. They actually held the vendors' feet to the fire, like I recommended, because back when we bought that, back when they erected that flagpole, part of the agreement was they would provide a flag in perpetuity. So yeah, it's their responsibility to have a flag on that pole.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So 1,500 more up for grabs. All right.
Yep.
So we're still short, I think, but
Yes.
we had some questions. So did you set these in order by time, or is it just flexible for the?
I didn't put times on the agenda. I gave them times. So
Okay.
I gave Juliana the earlier time. And then Mary Beth will take the later time.
I assume Juliana belongs to that cup. I can't see her.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Juliana, why don't you just give us a brief recap of, at least I've read their request. You've read it, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Okay.
And unfortunately, Sean was the one who actually had more questions on the conservation request, and he's not here yet. He did say he's Zooming. It sounds like he's in the car.
Okay.
So
we'll ask the pressing questions and we'll just blame Sean. We'll say, well, Sean wanted to know.
yeah, I guess.
I mean, I'd be happy to go earlier if you want to wait for Sean. I mean, I have no problem with that. Unless Sean had questions about the, things.
I had questions more, Mary Beth. So what my question was, well, he asked generally if people have pursued other funding sources. Just a general question, always a good question to ask. And my question, I guess, for you, since we don't have enough funds to cover all of the requests, I know the request for the senior center was a portion of the cost of the community survey. But
Yes.
I guess my question was more, where would the other funds come from? And if we pursue this request as opposed to a different request, so we deny a request and say yes to yours, could that fall through potentially? And then could we have missed out, could someone else have missed out on funding their request?
So yes and no, to answer that question. Basically what ended up happening was, as you recall, we made this presentation to the Board of Selectmen back at the end of 2022 after the Council on Aging Advisory Board voted to support the Age and Dementia Friendly Initiative here in Kingston. The Board of Selectmen also voted to accept this. That was around, I think it was November of 2022. At that time, I had a long conversation with the gentleman in Boston that takes care of the grant that the towns apply for under the different funnels, if you will. Keith was going to be applying for one. Marie from IT was going to be applying, and I was going to be applying. And so we knew that we had to wait through an entire cycle and get us into July 1st, which is when it opened up. It actually opened up in August because they have to wait for the then 2024 budget to be voted by the legislature before that the funding is available.
Sorry, Mary
So-
Beth, I don't want to interrupt you, but Sean is texting me saying he needs to be let into the meeting. I guess he's in
Oh.
Zoom. I can't do that, I don't think, on my
I
end.
don't know how to do that, so,
Okay.
how would I do that?
I didn't know that you had to
Yeah,
let people in. I thought just once the meeting was started, people
we
in.
can be,
He has a meeting ID and a passcode that he can come into.
yeah.
Yeah,
Do you want that?
Maybe go back and click on participants and see.
sorry, hold on one second. Let me just see. I'm asking if you used the passcode because I didn't have, you guys didn't let me in. As soon as you started the meeting, I was able to be a part of the group, so.
Usually it would say like someone was in the
Yeah,
room.
he's not, I don't even see that he's here.
Yeah, I don't see him either. I see
So-
conference room and me.
Enable me, log in.
You shouldn't.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Mary Beth.
It's okay. No, it's.
I didn't want him to miss it.
Okay.
This meeting is recording, correct?
It is,
Okay, good.
yeah,
Correct agenda, 'cause I know it was amended.
yeah. No, he did, well, he did, everything stays the same, so.
I will. I'm on Zoom waiting to be let into the meeting, he says. There's no waiting to be let into the meeting.
Do you want me to give you the meeting ID? Do you want to
I've got
text
it
it?
here. I'm gonna paste it
All right.
into an email to him.
So we'll
Let's see if he
where
can
it
get in
goes.
that way.
Yeah, let's see. All right, I just sent him, you know what, I think he was looking at maybe the wrong agenda. No, it looks the same. I don't know what he's doing wrong.
Of course, I checked that too, against what they gave. 947,
And I used it.
yeah, okay.
All right. Well, continue. I will, hopefully he'll be able to join us.
Here he is.
Yes, all right.
So essentially, just to get back on track, what happened was, we knew that based on, when we could apply for this, it opened up in August. And so we still had to wait, and because there were different funnels that were using different, pieces of this grant that was available, what ended up happening was Marie withdrew. She was looking for her cash in another fashion, which was funded for her through the fall town meeting, and that left Keith and I. So what ended up happening that was, he didn't understand this, I believe. My funnel, where they pull the money from for regionalization and other initiatives, always goes quickly. I could have applied for that anywhere around September or October. Keith, the piece he was applying for, which was for the regionalization, that he was going to be writing the grant to see if they could pull the towns together for regionalization across all the grades for Kingston is within Silver Lake. His funnel didn't open up until February. So by the time he got around to being ready to write his piece of the grant, my money was depleted, and I can't write the grant on my own. It has to be the town administrator or town manager that writes that grant. So we lost an entire year of waiting for that grant. So I think that to help me out, I asked him, I said, I'm applying for the 10,000 from the Sampson Fund. Would you help me write a warrant article for the annual town meeting that would allow me to get the additional $25,000 that I need out of free cash in order to be able to fund this a needs assessment completely? He said, yes. I will be touching base with him after this meeting if I get a sense where this is going. If you guys tell me sooner rather than later that the 10,000 is off the table, I'm going to have to go to Keith and ask him to make that a $35,000 request at ATM out of free cash.
Okay, and then to follow up on that, because I know you presented to us, but these folks might not be familiar with what you're doing with this survey and assessment. Can you talk about what the process is for this assessment and what value the community gets from it?
Absolutely, I'd love to do that. Sean, hello, Sean. I sent a packet to you earlier. How are you? Good to see you again. If you had a chance to take a look at it, essentially the Age and Dementia Friendly Initiative has been around for quite a while. Back in 2007, the World Health Organization created this framework of this age-friendly, what an age-friendly community should look like. They took it global in 2010. In 2016, AARP joined in as a partner here in the United States, and Massachusetts as a state signed on in 2018 and partnered with the World Health Organization and AARP to be able to create individual communities that are age friendly here in Massachusetts. Right now we have currently 150 communities that have been designated here in Massachusetts as age and or dementia friendly, mostly age. Dementia is a different piece of the puzzle that I'll talk about in a minute. Within the packet that you have, you've got information about creating the age and dementia friendly community, talking about the 8 different pieces of what this means. This comes from the World Health Organization that talks about, and I like to use the phrase on this, if you look at Kingston putting together a master plan for the town of Kingston, this is a piece of that master plan, because essentially what it does is that it allows you to build out, not just within a built environment, but within a social environment, all of the different pieces that you need to create an environment, a living community for people that are aging out, and also for those people that need to age in. So this isn't just for seniors. This is for everyone across all scopes, across every possible boundary you could talk about. So while we call it age friendly, we also look in all of these different areas to make it inclusive within everybody. So it's outdoor spaces, transportation, civic participation and employment, communication, information, respect, social inclusion, social participation, health services and community supports, and housing. That last piece could not be more important right now in Massachusetts than the housing piece. And within the piece, the thing that I sent you, you've got the explanation for why those were included in the WHO assessment. You also have a list of the people that ended up joining. And then what you have is the actual presentation that was the PowerPoint presentation that was done by UMass Boston, the Center for Social and Demographic Research on Aging, that was done to the board and to the advisory board back at the end of 2022. Essentially, the needs assessment allows us to be able to come into Kingston and ask an exceedingly large number of questions of the community. In this particular case, we're looking at a demographic choice of age 55 and older. So that will encompass a 25% of at least 25% of the population. So we're looking at 5,000 people that'll be tapped to be able to do this. There will be 3 separate conversations and a number of reaching out to have open public forums to discuss what this is going to be. Again, I want to stress, this is not just for people that are age 60 and older, although there are 4,000 of them currently in the town of Kingston. This is not going to benefit me or my seniors. This is for the grandchildren of the people that are seniors currently in this community, trying to create a community in all of those ways that allows them to be able to, what we call in aging in place. Aging in place can mean aging in place in your home, or it can mean aging in place in your community. And what this means is putting those pieces in place in your community that allows the people that brought their families up in this community to be able to stay here and be able to enjoy the place where they brought their children up. What I have here, this is really a very, very long assessment, but this essentially is just the results of the assessment of services and programs. And this one happens to be aging in Situate. So this is the results of the needs assessment that Situate did in order to move forward with their desire to become age friendly. It lays out a groundwork on this. Yes, I need it back, but you can take a look at it. What it does is it lays out a groundwork essentially so that you understand you have in place these pieces, transportation's in place, but we need to tweak it here. Housing, holy smokes, you've got nothing, and all those other pieces. So you essentially are able through that needs assessment to create the second step, which is an action plan. And that action plan is where the community comes together. We create the 8 different domains that we need to create and put committees together for each one of those domains. And that the needs assessment itself is at least a 1.5 to 2 year assessment. We then take the next 2 to 5 years to be able to create that action plan. Year 5 to 10 is when we come back and we look at what we were able to do as a result of the action plan and the things that we did, the things that we set out and said that was important to Kingston. It's a living document, very much similar to our living document that we have, that is our master plan, that's meant to be looked at and changed. One of the things that this allows us to do is also to become, we're trying to reach accreditation for our senior center. This is one of the steps to be able to do that. And I'm trying to reach accreditation as a senior center director here in Massachusetts. Very similar to best practices and policies and procedures that you see that our police and our fire departments are looking at in their assessment area in order for themselves to receive accreditation and know that they are the best possible department that they could be because those things are in place. Do you have any questions?
I'm sorry, I had trouble zooming in. Could you just very quickly just explain, there was an opportunity to get grant money through,
Yes.
and that just didn't happen?
We missed, unfortunately, because of a situation that existed, I missed my window of opportunity.
Not blaming anybody, but there
No, this isn't that. It's, just simple mistakes just happen to happen
No, I
at times,
understand.
and that's what this is.
So my follow-up is, would that grant be available in the fall or next year?
No, we literally have to wait until August of 2025, and then I wouldn't be able to apply until the end of 2025, beginning of 2026.
And does accreditation help with other grants and stuff like that down the road?
Oh, yes. This is saying to everybody that's out there, we know what the heck we're doing. We know how to do it. Our policies, procedures, and our best practices have been accepted on a national basis by an accreditation board. And it allows us to move forward in areas that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do.
In this project, I'm just peppering them. I'm sorry,
No, you're fine. I can handle it.
You said 2 years from now, you'd have to come back. So is there additional costs as this program goes on?
Well, certainly, I would imagine that the cost for the survey is going to increase. They were kind enough to keep it at the same 35,000 when I told her that we had missed this window of opportunity, and they were able to keep it at the same piece. But the problem is that my particular area where you go in under this regionalization funnel, it gets depleted that fast. And so if I myself, I'm not allowed to do it, I depend upon the town administrator who, if he needs a grant, he has to do it at a different time than me.
Okay.
So his funnel was gonna remain full because it's a far different type of funnel that he uses. So we're always gonna be at odds in that particular aspect, and we just are gonna keep kicking this can down the road year after year after year. It's why I'm hoping that if the Sampson Fund can help with the 10,000, we're showing good faith and money on the table when we go to the ATM and say, look, they believe in us. They believe we can make this happen. We're asking town meeting for 25,000 out of free cash.
So if we gave you 7,500 or 7,000, you're still gonna go to town meeting and ask for the
I need
remaining
the,
balance.
yes.
It's,
yes,
you don't need the
we-
exact 10, correct?
uh,
Either way, you're gonna go to town meeting. You'd like the 10, but if it was 9, you can still ask town meeting for the 26,000 or whatever that is, right?
That,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
those are my questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Do you have anything, Kim?
I mean, I was there for the presentation, the initial presentation. Mary Beth and I've talked about the accreditation process, I think outside of meetings as well. So, I mean, really, truly, my hesitation is always going to be if we're going to fund this as opposed to something else that could be potentially completely funded. If annual town meeting for some reason says no to this, then we've missed someone else's project. So that's my hesitation this year on this particular request.
I mean, my feeling is this, I look at it is that the Sampson Fund believes, regardless of the amount of money going forward, they're showing a good faith effort that they believe in us. Going forward, I really and truly believe that town meeting, given that I can have UMass come in, if they would like to see a presentation done on this, I'd be happy to have them do it. I'd be happy to do it. But at this point in time, we've lost a huge amount of time already on this. We had been at this time, we should have already been knee deep in those conversations and having those meetings with the people in the town, and the survey would already be out in the community. That's how much time we've lost on this. So and there's also, if Keith gets a grant under his area, I can't apply in the next year because they don't let us. You have to wait a whole nother year. So we are talking years in this. It's my hope that if you, whatever dollars you can fund to help us out, I will ask for time at the Board of Selectmen's meeting and ask Keith to work with me to write the warrant article and go in front of the board and ask them to kindly support that article on the warrant, asking for the additional funds for the needs assessment.
So if I may, and this is just my inner Carl Pike coming out. I'm Mary Beth's explanation of this helped me come to the decision that I would much rather see this come as a request at town meeting fully out of free cash and nothing from the Sampson Fund. I feel as if well, for a couple of reasons, and I'll say them out loud. A, your demographic is far more favorable at town meeting to get that money out of free cash. And it, to me, although I can understand how it would benefit the entire community, I just think it's not something that falls under the Sampson Fund and the reason the Sampson Fund is what it is.
Okay.
But not to disparage any of the merits of the project. I think it's a great project. I just think you'd be way better off getting this money at town meeting, annual town meeting, because just the breadth of well, you're gonna be there anyway.
Oh, yeah. No.
And it
there
just
is.
frees up money on this end for things that are far more community based, and just think of the other projects. It's, a luminary night, it's a parade, it's, band nights at the, Grays Beach. It's a different type of community action,
Right.
if that's the right word.
I
So
understand.
that's just my opinion. We're three people that make a vote, so I'm not sure we're gonna vote now on each project. I think we'll do it at a different time. But That's my opinion of it.
Sure. If I may take a U-turn here, I just want to let you know, you mentioned earlier about the funds that haven't been expended.
Mhm.
So there's $2,000 that I wrote a grant for through the Sampson Fund, and you guys gave us $2,000 for Triad. Our
Mhm.
Triad committee here is essentially broken up in Kingston.
Mhm.
They are, the one person that's left on the committee is going over to where I live at Town and Country. And they're going to be joining the Triad program that's already over at Town and Country.
Okay.
We had an annual meeting back a week and a half ago, and a gentleman, this sweet little guy, got up and said how excited he was about the lockbox program that Kingston has at the fire department. Well, this was kind of funny because when I talked to Adam, we had talked about it, there is none, but Adam found a lockbox in his drawer and he gave it to this gentleman. So this gentleman was under the impression that, ooh, they have a lockbox program. So after I talked with Mark and Adam, and Dot, who's the one lone surviving person that's on that committee, they had their first meeting yesterday over there, she did, and we are going to use that $2,000 to kickstart the purchase of the official Kingston Lockbox program. If you don't know what this is, it dovetails with another program we're trying to get going, which is just for a lack of a better acronym, Are You Okay? And this is a wellness check on seniors, making sure that they get a phone call at 9 o'clock in the morning when they say that they want to be called. And if they don't answer, it swings back to the fire department. The fire department goes over there to make sure everything's okay. Well, what happens if the car's in the driveway, the front door is locked, and they want to double check, but they're not answering the ring? The lock boxes on the outside of the building, they have the key, they have the master key that opens up those lock boxes. And so they can just go in, pull the house key out, open the door, they don't have to bash it in, and they go in and they can do a wellness check. It's a way of giving some peace of mind to our seniors through these two very wonderful programs that support each other. And so in addition to the 2,000, I have identified with Adam and with Mark another grant that's through a source that typically the firefighters go for under grant writing, but I guess nobody over there kind of sort of does this. So I'll be applying for additional dollars under that program for more lock boxes. So, and first of all, let me just say this. I deeply appreciate the time. I appreciate you listening to me. I'm passionate on this topic. I'm passionate about seniors, but more than anything else, I'm passionate about Kingston. I'm now a resident. I'm one of yours. Yes, I'm a senior and I live at Town and Country and I love it and I love it here. So I look at this community as creating something. You guys are working very hard in all other areas to create a community that you can be proud of now and be proud of down the road that's going to grow with you. Your master plan shows that. I want to put those pieces in place over the next 10 years, and I'm 70, so I don't think I'm going to see it. But I want to put those pieces in place so that honestly, people down the road are going to be able to come back and say, isn't that great? There's a walking trail that is paved that handicapped people can go down. And there's going to be spots all along that walking path that are going to be places where you can get on a bike and ride, stationary bike. You can lift weights. You can get on a swing and swing. There's so many ways of creating environments, not just for seniors, but for everybody in this community. We just need to come together to be able to decide what that's going to look like.
I love your energy.
And I
Thank
think,
you very much.
Thank you.
Mary Beth, I think the message here isn't that we don't support the concept. Right?
I didn't mean to say
No,
that.
I just want to make sure that that's
No,
like we,
I heard.
it's not that we're not
heard-
supportive.
I
And
heard what Ken had to say. I truly understand that.
our last meeting, we talked a little bit about the purpose of the Sampson Fund, and the language of the will and the legislative act is fairly vague. So it's really up to the trustees to decide which types of projects to accept year over year. And as the trustees have changed over the years, because it's made up obviously of the current treasurer, the current chairman of the board of selectmen, and the current moderator, that can change over time. So the beginning, they started with partially funded things. So they only wanted to see projects that were somewhat funded through the Sampson Fund and somewhat funded through other sources. That changed because a lot of those projects, because the other funding sources failed to come through, projects weren't happening. So I just wanted you to know, we did talk about that briefly in the last meeting. And I think this is one of two requests, if I'm looking at the list correctly, one of two requests that's a partial funding request. I believe the other partial funding request is conservation / planning, which we're about to hear from. I think, I can't speak for sure, but I think the other funding sources have already maybe been secured for the 20% that, oh, Julie, I don't know if you want to speak to that, Julie.
Well,
So if I could, I'm gonna let her have the floor. Is it too late to change my ask?
To what?
I'd love to throw a barbecue picnic for my seniors. Honest to God, I'd love to get everybody together and do this. There's just, you understand, there's not enough funds to do a lot of the stuff that we do. Had I really understood, you're right, the language is vague. And I didn't have that as a takeaway. I would have done something differently if that was the case.
So we still
Beth,
don't
this-
have,
this-
even if we eliminated your request, we're still
Yeah.
about $2,000
You
over.
had so many people that have put fund requests in this year, I understand.
But next year, for sure, go for it.
I gotta wait a whole year.
Sampson Fund only does it at the annual town meeting.
Yes, Sean, you were asking something? No?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, the last 3 years, we haven't requested the full amount, so this is just an odd year where the.
Yeah,
request
no, I
doesn't
saw,
really
well, I
have, so-
saw the list, when Ken sent it out, I went, dang, there's a lot of people asking for a whole lot more money, because in the past, they hadn't been asking for that much. It
Mhm.
was, the largest request was the $10,000 for the night out for the police. And now all of a sudden, you're seeing this 10,000, 12,000 and
Mhm.
other amounts as well.
Just that everything is getting so much more expensive. We're
That
seeing.
too.
Yeah, no,
Crazy.
I totally get that. Well, Sean, I'll be coming back to talk to you to see if you can point me in the right direction where we could find some nice charitable individuals in town that would be willing to help me fund that. Okay,
Will do. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I know a guy that can get you some money, so.
Okay,
And some labor to help.
I'll be back. Thank you very much. Have a
We'll have a
great night, guys.
conversation. All right, does everybody know Juliana?
Yes.
Hi there.
You ever met, Sean, have you ever met Juliana?
Yes.
Okay.
So to answer your question, Kim, the grant application for this project was submitted at the beginning of February. So the 80% that the grant would cover has not been officially secured yet. Although the grant does prioritize, senior community and people with, I guess, disabilities in, funding this type of project. Accessibility is at the top of their list. So this is the same grant that funded the Mulligan's Landing Pier, which is the only other accessible trail in town, and it could be debatable if that's really considered a trail. So happy to answer any questions, or if y'all want me to give a brief, description.
You have the other amount of, sorry, you were trying to get to 8 to 20%, correct? With this
Yes.
20620?
Yeah, so the grant covers 80% of the total project cost, which is $67,822.80. That's what the grant would cover. And they require 20% match. I have factored in match funding also includes staff time, which we have factored in. Subtracting that, the total amount of the 20% would be $15,206.20. So just to be, transparent and everything, the planning department has indicated that they may have some funding available, if we can't get a full amount, or if, something happens with Sampson Fund, they may be able to help fund some of the project. I'm also exploring an AARP grant, but the deadline for that is March 6th. I just found out about it, and it's a pretty lengthy application, so that may not be able to be submitted depending on.
Do you mind if I just ask you a question? Did you, how much would someone else be able to contribute?
I would need to speak with planning department a little bit more on that.
Was it a quarter, a third? Do you have a rough ballpark, not down to the dollars and cents? Like if we gave you 10,000, would they be able to fund 5,000?
I believe they would be able to at least fund a third of the project.
Okay.
Or not, yeah, the total 20% ask match.
So definitely a quarter, but maybe even a third.
Yes, I believe.
I think the quarter would help us quite a bit.
And I will say that this initiative marks a significant step toward improving the town's recreational infrastructure to better accommodate the needs of people with disabilities by establishing the first long-distance trail in town. The design will focus on creating a smooth, stable surface suitable for wheelchairs and walkers. Additionally, like since COVID has happened, more people are looking for and utilizing outdoor community spaces. This will serve as a valuable community asset that promotes the healthy lifestyle for all, regardless of age or physical ability, contributing to the overall health, quality of life of community members.
I mean, I support this project. I think it's a great project. I think the only hesitation that I have is because we only have 51,000 this year. I mean, last year, I think we had 67 to work with. And the year before that, there was closer to, I think, 80. And part of that is that we didn't have as many requests, right? So, I mean, I support this project. And I mean, I'm looking at, if we did 13,206.20 and planning kicked in the $2,000.
I do think that, you know, they have, like I said, a quarter to a third to help contribute. I would have to get the exact numbers, but I do believe they have that.
Okay. Sean, you had questions about the project. I know it was mainly about funding sources, but did you have other?
Yeah, I was just, it seems like, well, I asked, there's nothing left in the budget or anything budgetary money for this project whatsoever, correct?
In conservation, I believe our yearly budget is very low, like $5,000.
There's very little wiggle
I'd have
room
to-
in the
I'd have to
conservation
get,
budget.
but I do think that, you know, planning has said that they have some funding set aside that could cover some of the cost.
How long is this trail? It may
So-
have just breezed over it, but I didn't see how long it
The
was.
trail will be approximately 3,730 feet long. A portion of the trail, approximately 900 feet, will be a boardwalk to serve as a wetland crossing. The trail will also feature a scenic viewing platform at Bates Pond, right over here at the senior
Oh, yeah.
center.
See that?
And it will be ADA.
You'd have access to the trail from the senior center?
Yes, that's correct. This project, you know, came to fruition, the idea for this, because we would oftentimes have seniors come into the conservation department looking for an accessible, easily walkable trail that's flat, and especially in close proximity to the senior center, and we don't have that. Also, you know, the senior center provides transportation, which would also, you know, is another barrier for people with disabilities to access these kind of spaces. You know, provided that transportation, they will be able to access this space much easier.
So is this behind the Pottle Fields?
No, it's behind the
Across
senior
the
center.
tracks.
Yeah.
It
It's
is,
behind us right now, where we are here.
Correct, so it's not the protected area because of the,
No,
okay,
but gave you the idea. That'd be a great place to put a cross-country trail out back on that other
all right,
property.
I'm just trying to picture it, okay, thank you.
yeah, it's adjacent to the senior center parking lot. There's a piece of conservation property right there, and it would be on that property.
I
I
think
want
it's
to
a
make a
great idea.
bridge a walking bridge over the train tracks to the Opachinski fields, but that's a
That'd be brilliant. Or a tunnel. I've been asking for a tunnel for years. Yeah.
project for another day.
So that we actually were exploring that idea, and we may come back to Mass Trails to seek grant funding for that at some point in the future.
Love that plan.
Are you kidding me? Actually, crossing the tracks?
Yeah, no, Matt and I were talking about it before.
Wait,
too, Yeah.
Yeah.
MBTA would never allow that. You really think they would? Oh.
Oh, let's
I get it.
try. Hey, you don't know if you don't try, right?
Exactly.
So Mass Trails, in addition to underserved communities, they also prioritize connectivity. So we'll come back with that at some point in the future, maybe.
So I guess the plan, and what I failed to do is I failed to add the fire, which now I've done, and with the request now with the fire, and if we took the 10,000 out from the elder affairs, looks like I have a shortage of 312.78. Is that?
So you had 50, hold on, let me just look at that. I have. No, so using the spreadsheet you sent us, we have police department at 10,000, fire at 4. Oh, we took out facilities. I didn't take that one out. Hold on.
We got to take out facilities.
Yep, 300. Yep.
So 312.78, if planning is in fact gonna kick in a few, if they drop, if
So,
conservation
yeah.
drops their number by 1,000.
So let me just say this too. This is not a hard and fast rule. There are years where the Sampson Fund has spent slightly more than the interest. I'm just telling you, I'm not saying we
I'm
should
not
do
about-
that. I'm just
I'm not
saying
about to
they
do
have
that.
done it in the
All
past.
right, so I am still in the process of going back to the original funding of this, because I do believe, and as does our finance director, do believe that there were years where interest was not moved over to the expendable portion. So there so long as we get back to the original amount of the principal balance, there could possibly be another $100,000 to $150,000 that has never been moved over. Just letting you know, and it's going to be a long project because there are a lot of different trust funds that we have to go through and we have to do the history on.
Right,
But-
so just for Juliana's purposes, do we have any other questions for her though, before? Because she
Alright.
probably doesn't need to.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's a
She
great
doesn't
idea.
want to. You can hang out, that's fine, but
I have a meeting at 6 anyway, so I'll be here.
does anyone have any other questions about the proposed project? Any
Nope.
concerns?
All right, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you for working on this as well, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, so Ken, do you happen to know, I don't know off the top of my head, do you happen to know when Keith needs our official article?
If you can stall, I can tell you.
You can text him and ask.
Can we
what would you-
review the minutes while I look it up?
Sure,
would
but I
you-
know,
what-
I mean, I know it's soon, but it's not, I don't think it's imminent. We haven't even started talking about articles yet, so.
Right.
I mean, I drafted the minutes, so I'm fine with them, but I mean, I don't know if anyone else has questions on them.
So we can, if we don't fund the Mary Beth's project,
Yeah.
then we're only short a total of,
$318.78.
so
Yes.
if we give, funds-
Facilities was withdrawn.
and that covers the luminaries as well.
Luminaries is in there. Yep, that's the 4,000, right? It was 4,000?
So if we give
Yes.
conservation
Luminaries for-
14,700, then that covers everything.
Right, the question I just had was if that, I'm not questioning Ken, I'm just questioning whether all of that expendable income is accurate based on money that hasn't been spent. So like money that's gonna get turned back that went to projects but never got spent. So we might have the full amount that she's asking for.
I'm sure between Carol and me, there's gonna be money somewhere that we have. I'm almost 100% sure that all of that expendable or non-expendable is truly non-expendable. The number just doesn't seem right to me.
It seems low, honestly, based on what we've seen, but I know the interest, the markets are kind of crazy right now.
Right.
And that's the other thing with this fund. I mean, I'd like at some point in time to spend a little bit of money and get a full legal analysis from somebody who just deals in funds and trusts, to see about money not used in certain years, or it's very vague. And the questions were raised with Carl, the questions were raised with previous selectmen. It can grow forever. At one point in time, do we value it as it was valued in 1959 and bring that up to dollars now? And we do want to go over. So a lot of those answers, nobody knows.
Yeah, that's actually really good.
It wouldn't be, tens of thousands of dollars, but it might be something at some point in time we consider getting an opinion on.
I'm looking at Keith's timeline.
Mhm.
And I saw at one point. Oh, yeah, all right, deadline for request from the EB Sampson submitted to the Board of Selectmen will be February 27th, so we're right
Missed
at
it, so we're fine.
it.
Well, I, as the designated member of the Board of Selectmen, think we have 2 more weeks before our next meeting, so.
Yes, yeah, I really think we can get this wrapped up in the next, if not the next 15 minutes, we can probably get it wrapped up in.
Well, I mean, I honestly, I mean, I'm supportive of all of these requests as they are. So, okay, let me put it this way. I would support all of these requests, kicking facilities out because they withdrew and pushing the elder affairs request to town meeting. So she's gonna do the full 35,000, I'm assuming, in the article. That separate article. So if we're looking at just everything that remains, that's a 52,206.20. I'm supportive of all of those contingent upon we have enough money in expendable income. If we do not, then I would reduce the conservation by whatever is necessary.
Well, there's still the question of, and I oftentimes defer to Carol and her long time experience, but I still see there is a change in value that I'm not quite sure shouldn't go below the line on this. In the funds page at 1117, you might not have the 1117 page, but I still have to check with our finance team at the bank to see what their translation of that is.
The conservation, they're willing to, to get this done. They have other money of over almost $4,000. Why don't we just reduce their request by $400 and we can approve everything right now?
So,
I think that's the plan.
so 14,806 is what you're thinking?
Sure.
Well, then she can move forward with the other grant if she wants to, but the planning can definitely come up with 400.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, so. do
She was
you want-
willing to, planning was willing to do a quarter of that money was 3,800, and they were willing to do a third, so they had 5,000. I'm sure they can come up with 400.
All right, so we
Right.
think, so move to recommend all requested projects with the exception of the facilities and the elder affairs and modifying conservation to 14,806.20.
I'll second that.
Okay. Does that work?
Sean O'Brien in favor.
All right, all those in favor, Kim, aye. Sean?
Aye.
Okay, so 300. All right, so I will type up the minutes and then can you let all of the folks who submitted applications know where things stand, like what's going on in the
Absolutely.
meeting? And we'll and you'll provide Keith with that list as well?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And I have about 14 minutes tonight between 12:30 and 1 a.m. So so I think I might be able to start a draft of a annual report for the Sam Fund.
Well, the
So-
annual report was due in January. You want to do it for this upcoming year? Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna, after all that
Great.
information that you gave me, I think if I parse that and, and took the, 14 minutes between 12:30 and 1 a.m. every other night, I could probably get a,
I mean, yeah, I mean, we have time, right? So it's not a rush right now.
right,
So if we want to wait and do it later and wait until after town meeting even, because it's so the annual report would be for all of 2024. So whatever the Sampson Fund trustees did between January 1st, 2024 and December 31st, 2024. And then it's due in January of 2025. So I mean, you could include any of the results of town meeting in that report
Right.
if you wanted to. So I don't think you need to do it now, but if you want.
no, but I want to get a start on it and just,
Sure.
it just because it'll take me that long, honestly, it will, if I chip
fine.
away at it, an hour at a time.
If you have any questions, give me a call, okay?
Will do, absolutely. Did we, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written. Kim, that's amazing. I wish I had that type of recall.
I just typed it, literally, we hung up from the call and I typed everything from my notebook. That's
Yeah.
all I did. And then I just was done. I'll do the same thing tonight. Well, in the next 10 minutes, because I want to watch capital planning. Okay, so as written. Okay. Any edits, Sean? Or you're good with as written?
I'm very good as
All
written,
right, so you seconding?
please.
All right.
Second.
So all those in favor, Kim, aye?
Can I?
Sean, I,
Okay, excellent. That's all do we have anything else on there? You
I-
did, you
The
mentioned
agenda.
the annual.
So
report.
I think we should formally accept the request of the fire department, $4,000 for the luminaire display. So I'll
Sure.
make that motion. It was my mistake. I did not get it in. He had given it to me in hard copy. So shame on me for not realizing that hard copy actually still exists.
No, it's
So
before the deadline, just for the record, for anyone
it
who's
was way
watching
before the
this. Yeah,
deadline, way before the deadline.
okay.
He was actually the first one to request.
I don't know that, I mean, it's up to you guys. I don't know that you need a motion on that. I mean, I agree with you. It was before the deadline, so I mean, we
Mhm.
already.
Well, we
voted to
read
move it
all of the
forward.
others, we read all of the others into the minutes, so we. may
Oh,
as well
okay,
this one
okay,
into the
that's
minutes.
fine. So formally accept, Sean, do you want to second that?
please, second.
All those in favor, Kim, aye?
Sean, I.
Can I-
Okay, all right. And I think that's everything we needed to do.
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Sorry for the delay. I was on the Kingston agricultural site, which wasn't asking for a password. I must have hit the wrong
Oh, no.
Zoom
right,
in, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, let me in.
I'll
So I apologize for
I'll
that.
second Ken's motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
I have a great night.
Aye. All right,
Aye.
we
Good night, folks.
adjourned at 5:51 PM.